Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Family, a show where we come together and talk about issues that we're dealing with in our families, where we come together and also give you information and resources to strengthening your family. Today, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have our guest today. I know I say that every week. That means I have some great guests coming on. That's really what it means. But today I have a very, very interesting topic and a very interesting guest that is going to talk to us about a topic that, as we were talking before, I have never heard of before. So it's going to be a great conversation with great information. So go ahead at this time, go ahead and like, share, and feel free to comment. And welcome to the show, Miss Daphine Jack. How are you today, Am I saying it right, Daphne?
Daphine.
Daphine.
Yes.
How are you today, Daphine?
No worries. I'm good. How are you?
Hey, it's a great day to be alive and a great day to help families. And that's what we're here for. Yes. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you have about an hour to do it. No, I'm just kidding. So my name is Daphine Jack, and I am an author, speaker, podcast host of If Emmett Was Alive Today podcast. I'm a commissioned notary. What else? I have a nonprofit that I founded and CEO of, and I'm a beauty distributor. And so that's about the gist of me. I'm a mother and a wife, and I have 4 kids and 2 girls, 2 boys. And we actually had a graduating senior from college this year. And then I have a high school graduate. So we're really blessed. All 4 kids is getting their education so far. Now we got 3 out of college and 1 more to go. So then I have a husband, Lionel, and we've been married. We just had an anniversary back on Wednesday. 31 years to that one man. And so I'm excited. I'm excited.
So let me go ahead before we go any further and say congratulations on 31 years. 31 oh my gosh.
Years.
Like
yes.
That is a total blessing. Oh my God.
Yes.
I am truly humbled to be in your presence.
Thank you.
I love hearing people that have been married for the long haul. I'm not even going to get on my soapbox about marriage. That's the show at the beginning of 2022.
Yeah.
I always dedicate that to marriage. And so that's another stuff for another time. But I am in love with it.
That's all right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So today we're going to talk about children with incarcerated parents.
Yeah.
And the reason why I feel that this is an interesting topic is because it's something that you don't hear people really talk about all the time.
Right.
Then there has to be some struggles. There has to be some issues. There has to be a lot on the children. And I'm sure age plays a big role into the child and how they deal and struggle with it. So
right.
So let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Where did this passion come from as you're looking into children with incarcerated parents?
Well, the passion came from so let's kind of jump back a little bit. My nonprofit, we talk about we provide resources to the exonerees, and then we have a youth group that we've been working with since 2017, and it's a group of kids that coming from a good background, so to speak, parents together, mom and dad, some good productive single parents, and so realizing that those kids have issues too, and that included my son, and we're raising them right and God-fearing and all of the above. But the little fella, had peer pressure and everything. And so we don't really focus on those kids. And, we focus more on the quote unquote at-risk children that are in a bad environment. But to me, all kids are at risk. And so as we had those two programs going, it just dawned on me that we don't talk about enough children with incarcerated parents. And I was a school teacher, sixth grade social studies. And so I kind of came in contact with children who, I would ask the little boy, who are you? Your mom and dad. And say, I don't know my dad, but my mama told me he's in prison. And so that would kind of already give you the dynamics of somewhat, not all the time, of some dysfunction. And as the school would progress, things would start to come out with the children dealing, or with that child dealing with the parent being incarcerated. And so, it just became a really big concern of mine. And so that's why I wanted to tap into and start, looking to assist those children when it come down to them in the criminal justice system.
Right. It's interesting you say that, because as you were talking,
Mm-hmm.
I remember working with a lady.
Mm-hmm.
She was a single mom.
Yeah.
And she was making sure that her son gets into sports.
Okay.
So that he would have some type of male figure. She said, I know he needs male figures around. I know this.
Mm-hmm.
So she was doing that. And then later on, as we got to know each other, come to find out her father was in her childhood also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
I mean, it's more than what we think. And like you said, we don't talk about it. And with your background dealing with youth, you've experienced it a lot more.
Yes, sir. Yes. And, I started getting my research together and really digging deep into it. And as I was sharing earlier, when you go to youth.gov, that's a website that people can go to that give just a whole wealth of information about all different topics about youth. And so we're using the Positive Youth Development Program from youth.gov. And then they even have a section for children with incarcerated parents. And so when I went and found that, it wasn't going to make any sense for me to reinvent the wheel when the information is provided right there, because I love to research. And so, man, when I came across that, I was like, oh, that's less work for me.
Right.
And so I got the reading, and it's so much information in there that we are going to be able to present and educate ourselves on what we need to tackle the most when it comes down to children that have incarcerated parents. And the big word, when you go to the site and go to the children of incarcerated parent topic, the first thing you see in red is mental health.
Wow.
Yes, mental health. And so, talking from experience, when we were experiencing the criminal justice system ourselves with a loved one, mental health was one of the big issues that we had to deal with, and just being able to have someone to talk to and everything. Mental health is a big topic. So that was the first thing.
Are the resources available for mental health for children with incarcerated parents?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People just don't know to tap into it. And so with us having our program and having leads and contact with different, like at the schools, for instance, we have a school that we're looking at. So getting with the principal, one principal who I told her what we were trying to do, she said, oh, yes, we need that here because we have a large percentage of our children that have incarcerated parents.
Right.
And so what would go well with it is first checking on the mental health of the child. And then once you do that, you think about their social behavior. Why is Johnny coming to school and he's quiet? Johnny probably just experienced watching his father, his mother getting arrested by the
Right.
police, whether it's something that's been going on bad in the house, drugs, anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Johnny have to watch his parent get locked up, and he's at school the next day, and we're trying to figure out what's wrong with Johnny. How come he's, this is that, or if Johnny's coming to school and acting out, why is he's acting this way? And so, because Johnny experienced something, so instead of punishing Johnny and sending him to the whatever they call them now, the alternative programs,
Right.
find out what's wrong with Johnny. Talk to Johnny, see what's going on with him. And then that'll give him an opportunity to open up to say, the other night, the police came to our house and they came and got my dad, and took him to jail. And I just didn't know. We never seen that before, whatever the case. So now we know why Johnny's acting out, or why Johnny is not talking, or whatever the case
Right.
is. Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the common trends that you see with, and I understand that there's a age, you got it from birth till adulthood.
Yeah.
So what are some of the common trends that you see when you're dealing with them?
Well, for some, and as I stated, I'm pulling this information off of youth.gov, and I just want to share the age when you refer, the different questions with the age group. So let's say children 0 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're wondering, why did the police take my mom and dad away?
Right.
When will my mom or dad be home again? Who will take care of me? Why isn't my mom and dad here to tuck me in? And this is children ages 0 to 6. Right. Now you have the children that's ages 7 to 12. And they're asking, is my mom or dad a bad person? Are the police good people? Will my mom or dad be safe in jail? Who will decide what happened to my mom or dad? What will the judge do? Can I go visit them? And this is 7 to 12. Now, this is when the kids are really getting older and understanding, because as I stated, one of the first questions they ask is my mom and dad bad?
Right.
Then you're dealing with the youth 13 to 18. They'll ask the same question. When can I see my mom or dad? What did my mom or dad do? Will my friends find out? What would they think? Now, this is getting to where people are, that peer pressure area.
Right. Yeah.
What happens next? Now they're kind of understanding something must going to happen. What happened at court with the hearing? Can I go visit them? And then young adults, 19 to 25, they're asking, what impact would this have on my life? Who will find out? What will they think? Can I do anything to help my mom or dad? Should I testify on their behalf? And this is what the kids are dealing with at those ages when their parents is arrested.
Man, and you can see the cognitive development in those questions and how they're looking at it from their perspective at their age.
Right. There, things start to change because at that age, as I stated, but one of the common ones that is being asked, let's see, will my mom or dad be safe in jail?
Right.
And looking at the different ages, that's pretty much what each child is going to want to know. Will they be safe in jail?
And the thing about it, like, I'm sitting here listening to that question, and you think about all these shows and all the movies and some of the music that talk about how rough it is in jail.
Yes.
And like you said, and the next day they're at school.
Yes, and the next day they're at school.
Trying to learn the Pythagorean theorem.
Right? Yeah. So, it's really it's hard on a child, and which again, as I stated earlier, give an opportunity to see what is the root cause of this child acting the way they're acting. And so that's why it's so important that instead of always trying to send Johnny down to the principal's office, see what's going on with Johnny. Talk to Johnny. Ask Johnny, why is he acting like that? But that don't always happen. We are very quick, especially with our brown and black children, real quick to put them in that place, sitting them down, get them out of the classroom. They're disturbing the class. Find out why they're disturbing the class. Find out why they're bad. And until you get to talk to that child, then that's when you can get issues resolved that is going on. They just need somebody to listen a lot of times.
I sub at the local high school here, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I was telling another sub is a lot of times when you look at these children, these students that are labeled bad, they're
Mm-hmm.
not bad, they're bored.
Yes.
So, and I tell them, I said, when I see this in some of
Mm-hmm.
the youth, I think about myself. I was considered a bad student,
Okay.
but it wasn't until years after I graduated. It was because I was bored. I
Mm-hmm.
would learn the information, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that, if I learned it in the first 5 minutes and we still got 40 minutes worth of class,
Right.
so I wasn't challenged enough. So I started acting out. I'm talking in class. I'm drawing in class.
Right.
I'm around,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody took the time to sit down and figure out or help me to understand that
Uh-huh.
I'm just bored.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're dealing with today's youth, and we'll talk about teachers another show or two, not today because I don't really want to go too far off topic.
Right. No worries.
The teachers are dealing with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers are dealing with a lot. So now I'm trying to do as a teacher what I'm getting paid to do. And a lot of teachers is their passion. But then you have the child that comes in and like you said, and oh my gosh, like I just thought, I'm sorry, that was so off that was just so totally off. But listen, I thought about it, like we're sitting here talking about children with incarcerated parents, and we're talking about children seeing this the night of and they're having to go to school the next day. What about the children when their cases hit the news?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And that was one of the questions. They said, what do I tell my friends? So that means that the 10 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news is going to be airing John Henry's dad handcuffed. And of course, everybody's going to see the news. And then he goes back to school the next day. Was that your daddy?
Right.
How is that kid going to feel? Is he going to tell the truth? Is he going to, no, that wasn't my dad. No, nobody, look, that's the house y'all live in.
Right.
That's the different house. Thinking of something to tell, because at this age, ages 13 to 18, these kids understand this is some of the questions that they're going to ask. Do I tell anybody? And it's embarrassing for kid, anybody. It's embarrassing.
Right.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
That's got to be, and I see why the number one issue you said is mental health. These children really need that mental health. That's somebody that's going to help them through their time. So is majority of their help through the school system or through the state or organizations like what you have, nonprofit?
Well, technically, according to youth.gov, they give a listing of who should have, and I'm gonna go to while we're here. They give a listing of how to help in that area. They have one set for parents, caregivers, families, law enforcement, correction, school administration, teachers, and staff. So in other words, for school, it should be some type of training that is going on within the school to help these kids or being able to learn how to recognize the kids that is going through with those issues, and it should be addressed. Now, haven't been in the classroom in a long time, and so is it happening? Good question. But I can kind of answer my own question, because when I talked to my teacher or my principal friend, and she said, we really need that here because we have a population of kids in that area. So that kind of answered my question. I asked the question and answered myself. Apparently not. So
So that, and as you even bring that up, there
Mm-hmm.
has to be a difference in neighborhoods and communities where it's more prevalent to have children with incarcerated parents than
Mm-hmm.
neighborhoods where it's not so prevalent.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
But they got the white collar crime too. And
Yes.
so, but you do again find the majority among your black and browns.
Yeah.
And so that's where it really need to be addressed. Now, who knows with the white collar crime type situations where the kids, embezzlement or something like that, money laundering, or whatever the case. And I'm just thinking out, throwing out the different crimes, but those areas, they might have something in place, but
Right.
not really necessarily having to utilize it because they might not see it all the time.
Right.
Whereas in our black brown community, and if anybody's listening, I do stand to be corrected because, like I said, I'm not really in the school system anymore. But in our black and brown schools, I'm not sure if it's being implemented
Right.
overall. Like I
Right.
said, one school I've tapped into, she said it's needed. And so,
So how does your organization help in that situation? Like how are you referred, or do you seek the newspapers? Like how do you get involved in that?
well, since we are slowly, because we got started March of 2019, and so that was planning year, of getting things so that we can implement the next year. Well, as
Right.
everybody know, what happened in 2020.
Messed
So
everybody
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do now, after researching and getting information about the Positive Youth Development Program, we would like to find the kids that's dealing with this issue, make sure we deal with the mental health first, making sure they're getting counseling first, and then we would want to educate this kid on what happens next. Okay, Daddy got arrested yesterday. So what's supposed
Right.
to happen? Is he going
Right.
to come home? You heard some of the questions that these kids might ask. So what we'll do with the guideline that youth.gov has provided for us, we'll go through all the things that will transpire to educate the child on the process of what happened while watching, or when they see their parent get arrested. What happens next? And that's the reason we're able to turn to that program. And that's our goal. So we haven't had a chance to implement it yet.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But we have stuff in place and we're ready to go. So it would be more or less like a referral out. I've reached out to this one particular school, and it's a process when you're having to do, say, become a vendor at a school. So you have to go through the process of getting in contact with the district, checking out their vendor program, filling out the applications and all that, because they have to be extremely careful. And so it's a process. So we're looking forward to getting how do I want to say, partnered with the school districts, here in the city of Houston. And far as I'm concerned, I want prevention zone to be worldwide. I'm just
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, prevent. Y'all heard of that? Yeah, we heard of that. So that's what I want to see happen.
But just remember, you heard it here on Let's Talk
Uh-huh.
Family.
Yes, 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 yes.
So your organization is primarily going to be client focused, child focused.
No, our other area. So we have our youth, and then we have our youth with incarcerated parents. But not that I don't love the youth. Don't get me wrong. Don't nobody be saying, "Oh, she don't want to do the youth anyway." No, that's not it. But
Right.
we have another area that people have ignored. So I'm a retired parole officer. So I got a chance to see what happened when a person come out on parole. They, when they leave the unit, they leave and they give them, this is for Texas, they give them a $50 check. All right. When they report to the office the next day within that 24 hours, we then issue another $50 check. So then they come in and sit down. We read the case summary, see what their need, if they got a drug case, if they had a can of beer when they was 12 years old, they got to go to AANA. So in other words, they are coming into a structured environment that we are wanting to reintegrate them back into society successfully.
Right.
So they get this. But for the people who have been wrongfully convicted and their cases have been exonerated, when they come out of prison with their 20 years of personal belongings, they might have been locked up for 20 plus years. They come out with their bags. Probably the family's going to be there. And the prison unit, bye, sorry, that happened, so good luck. That's it. So again, doing my research, seeing that these guys and these ladies are not coming into an environment, in other words, a re-entry or reintegration, helping them reintegrate back into society. They didn't have that. And right. I know for a fact, because I'm currently talking with the Innocence Project of Texas, and I'm speaking with an actual exoneree. And so when I reached out to them and she got the information, she's like, we need to talk soon. And I'm like, oh, yay, we get to hook up with them. Man, when me and this lady got to talking and she told me about her situation and what she went through, she was exonerated. She said when she looked at our website, she's seen what we are wanting to offer. She said, we need this. Yes. Now, I thought maybe I might have found a place or whatever the case may be. And so I mentioned that to her. And she said, you're the only one that offers something like this. Wow. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And so she said, no, of course, she's an exoneree. So she knows that nothing like that is out there. Right. And so she said, yeah. So she presented our information to the board the next day after she and I talked. And she texted me and sent me an email, said, we can talk further. And so because the board was interested into what Prevention Zone want to do to help the exonerees. Nice. So here we are. We're coming.
So Prevention Zone is up and running and ready to work.
We're ready. We're ready.
You're just in the process of plugging yourself into these different locations to get the clients that you're looking for.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you were looking at this whole issue, like, and granted, you haven't really done the process. How long do you expect the process to last? Like, are we talking about a year? We're talking about 6 months? Like, how long do you expect to stay with the client?
Well, so once they go through any of the programs that we have attached a mentorship program. So let's just take you through our vision of how we want our plans, our programs to run. So let's use the children with incarcerated parents. So we have gotten them acclimated. They're seeing a therapist. They're waiting for the next court date with their parents. And let's fast forward on into they've gone through the process with their parent. Let's say they were found guilty and they got to go to prison for a couple of years. And so once they come out, so during that whole period, we want to be in contact with these kids so that in the event they have a need for something, they know that they can call their caseworker at Prevention Zone and say, hey, Miss John Doe, or whoever, I need, school is getting ready to start, and we need school clothes. We want to be there to give that for those kids. So let's fast forward to the parent is coming out and everything. And let's say they got back on their feet. They went through the reentry program, through the parole or whoever, or however, even us. And once that's done and everything seems to be looking really good for that child and that family, then we have a mentorship program. So we'll partner them up with a mentor that would kind of take the place of the caseworker and allow them to have that the mentor to work with them. And then if it be that everything is good, the kid by this time now is getting ready to graduate from high school or whatever the case may be. And if it be that everything is done and good, so we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 years, however long they will need us. We want to be there for them. In other words, we're not going to kick nobody out if they don't need us. We want it to be their choice, and we want to make sure that our program was successfully completed and they're happy and going on out there to be, as we state, a catalyst for change, not being a menace to society, not doing a repeat what they might have seen their parents going through.
Right. So what do you expect from the difference between a child that your first client, your second client, your third client, and a child is 5 years old versus the child is 15? And what are some of the initial challenges that you're expecting or planning for?
Well, when you talk about a child, and as we talked about earlier, giving the guidelines of what happened. So let's say, for instance, looking at the part of the incarceration stage.
Right.
So now with that age group, your kids 0 to 5, okay? So 0 to 6, it says plan and prepare for the children's visit with an incarcerated parent. The children will likely have questions, including details about arriving at and leaving the facility. And then you tell the children what happened. Explain this to the little kid, that's 5 or 6 years old. And then just kind of walk them through the process. And it says, prepare the child if the facility does not allow the child to touch their parents. And going to the prison, myself as a parole officer, is usually a window. And so you have to talk, through a window. And of course, we see on TV, the kid get to sit next to their parent or whatever the case may be. But I'm talking real life, what I have seen,
they video, like a lot of the prisons now have videos.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they've upgraded to videos.
Yeah,
and so that's the children ages 0 to 7. When you're looking at the child that's 7 to 12, it says to work with the children to help them understand that the parent may not be a bad person, but made a bad decision.
Right.
Such as the parent is incarcerated for not following the rules of the law, and it just go on to tell the different things that happen while the parent is in prison. And then, of course, the 13 to 18, it says, let the youth know that they aren't the only ones with incarcerated parents.
Right.
And by this time, those that peer pressure stuff is really kicking in. So, yeah.
Man, there's so much to this. There's so, it's the missing link. If we're looking at the future of our children, if we're looking at some of the issues that they're going through, we have to be able to find things to close the gap, to connect those dots, to connect those links, because we want our youth, we want our children to be successful, especially the ones in the brown and black communities. We want to make sure that they're successful, have the same opportunities and resources, and this is one way to help. Yeah. So do you plan to plug yourself in with or work with, I'm not sure what is called in your area, but like Department of Children's Services?
Well, yeah, we would probably get involved with those people, with the state, because a lot of times when a child is faced and might not have a family member to go to, then they become a custody of the state, your CPS. And so Child Protective Services, and they get to, from there, they'll go into a foster home.
Right.
And so those are some of the things that happen with the child when there's no other family available to take the charge of the child.
One of the issues I foresee, and hopefully you've already foreseen this and already ready for it, but I can see that the court system or either the state not allowing you or not giving you the opportunity or even hindering the process that you're trying to do to bridge that gap, because maybe they're saying they're doing it or they have it set up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, experiencing that same type, similar situation that we went through, being part of the state and everything. So it would be very important of getting with the state agency to let them know, hey, this is what we're doing. We would
Right.
like to become a part of, helping assist a child, because that's traumatizing for a child to be,
Yes.
in other words, they might have the opportunity to see if there's another relative, but when a child is in harm's way, they try to get them out of the dangerous situation
Right.
quickly. So we want to be on that list that they can contact to say, hey, do y'all have anywhere this child can go? Can you contact, look for parents? And, we'll even have that area to where we can try to find the parent, another relative, so the child won't get caught up in a system of
Right.
going somewhere and don't know who they're going to go stay with. So yeah, that's that long term goal. That's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff we're hoping,
Yeah.
that will happen within prevention zone. It's a big vision, and you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And so, I'm just excited about it because it's almost like all the right people are being thrown in my lap, so to speak. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
Talking to this person, that person. And if you guys go to our website, you can see who we are slowly partnering with. We are, getting more partners involved. We even have one that has a wellness center. So that means if that child is being caught up and he's with the grandma and they don't have any insurance, we have a wellness center that they can go to, that we can refer them to. And so those, and then they do have mental health at this wellness center, has
Nice.
everything. So yeah.
That's nice. I am so happy that you are doing this.
Yeah.
When we talked a while back and you was telling me you were doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, like I had never thought about it. And
Mhm.
I know people that are dealing with it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know that this is an area that needs to be addressed,
Yes.
that needs that support. Because
Hmm.
like you said, they're really, either you're in the system or you're not when it comes to that.
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
we,
Yes.
we, we have to pay attention to
Hmm.
how this is affecting our youth.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh
Exactly.
my gosh.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're in it for the long haul. This is long term.
Yes, I am. I always say that I'm going to live till I'm 102. And
Yeah.
so I said I was going to be still driving, and my children will be
Okay.
like, she's not dead yet. No, I'm still. So if it be that, we get it up and running and really
Yeah.
going good, with so many other things that I do. I like to go and share and talk and tell the world about how simple life is in spite of whatever situation
Right.
that they're going through. And so yeah, I would like to see prevention zone not only here in Houston being the headquarters, but we go to Dallas, we go to Austin, we go to Lubbock, then we go to Louisiana, and we got New
Yes.
Mexico and Arizona and California, just
Yeah.
all around the world is where I would love to see this logo that I have on, Prevention Zone. And when I walk somewhere and have this shirt, I'll be like, oh, I know about that. I know about who. Do you know about him? Yeah, baby, I'm the owner of that place. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah.
but,
Say
but
that.
it would be an honor to say
Yeah.
that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
and I'm just humbly grateful
Yes.
because I received that. I don't like the big head. I used people would sometimes, Jack, you think you all know, boo? No, no, it's not like that. It's all about helping people, and you can still call me Daphine.
Yeah.
If I go and I'm not going to get it a PhD, I'll
Right.
still be Daphine. I'll work hard to get that, but just that humble spirit is what I want to continue to demonstrate, because when it's humble and
Yes.
God see that, and that's when you get your blessings.
Yeah.
That's when you get your blessings. And so yeah, just all around the world it would be just amazing to see that.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to having you come back in about a
Okay.
year and give us a follow up, and definitely a good news story or even a
Yeah.
bad news story, honestly, So you can definitely educate us more on this
Mm-hmm.
topic. Like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
when we were talking, I had never seen this before, and I was like, "Oh yes, this is what we got to talk about right here.
Right,
This right
right.
here. This right here."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So go ahead and give us your final thoughts, your closing thoughts, or your last thing that you wanted to tell us, and definitely let the viewers know how they can get in contact with you.
Okay. Well, my final thoughts is that I'm about helping people. And I thought about my mom. She's been gone now 32 years, and growing up watching her being a servant to the people. And she didn't have no respect of color. She didn't have no matter who the person was at that time, she was always there to help. And growing up and watching it, I'd be like, God dog, why mom always doing this? And I would hear sometime go in the freezer and pull our meat that we need to eat. She go and pull it out and put it in the bag. And she said, I'm ready to go over to so-and-so's house to take these groceries. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. Not knowing that me, who didn't want to be like my mom, is in that same frame of mind. My thoughts is about helping and serving the community, and so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm very passionate about being and doing the things that I'm doing. When I was working as a parole officer, I wanted to graduate. I wanted to do this and not graduate. I'm sorry. I wanted to promote. I'm talking too fast. I wanted to promote. I wanted to be the supervisor and all to just move on up the ladder. But one of my dear friends, she's like a sister to me. I call her my sister. She said, Jack, you can do more beyond parole. And oh, I wouldn't want to hear that all the time. No, I just wanted to be that supervisor. She would tell me, Jack, you can do more. And sure enough, when I finally made the decision to retire, and that I retired April 30th, 2017, which at midnight I was done. And May the 2nd, I'm having to go to Austin to testify about a parole policy. So all of it worked out. And so from that point on, it's all been about serving and helping people in the best way that I can. And so those are my closing words. So if you need to find me, our website is preventionzoneinc.org. And with us being a nonprofit, we accept donations. Go and check out our website and you can see what we're trying to do and implement. And then, of course, my website, for speaking or about my book or whatever the case is, daphinebjack.com. You can find me there. And then just reach out and find us. We do have social media. We have a Prevention Zone Inc. Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then But it was one, Mr. Fester, that you wanted me to talk about was the podcast. And so I wanted to share about the podcast that I have, and it's called If Emmett Was Alive Today podcast. And that podcast came about my daughter's idea. She said, and it was during the time when the documentary, a movie came out, When They See Us, talking about the Exonerated Five. And so she said, Mama, she said, why don't you start a podcast? And I was like, girl, I'm doing enough already. She said, no, Mama, you can call it If Emmett Was Alive Today podcast. And so I ran it by my god brother, and he was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I let them kind of produce and co-produce this podcast. And this podcast is based around talking with people who have been wrongfully convicted and has been exonerated. And so I was just trying to figure out, so what route I'm going to go to start this podcast. I would like to talk to this person, that person. And so I was trying to figure out how to get in contact with them. So one of my dear coworkers said, hey, Jack, I'm going to this place and I should have told them about you and yada, yada, but I didn't. And I said, where are you going? So she told me. And so I went. And the one person who I wanted to talk to was there. And I knew then that, okay, this podcast has to be done. And so I was able to reach out to that person and got a chance to interview him so that he could tell us about his wrongful conviction and how it was, and a whole lot of those people who have been wrongfully convicted. Mental health is number one. And so just talking about how being in prison for a long time and how they dealt with it, they are put in the general population. And so you could imagine how hard that is, being locked up for something you didn't do. And so if Emmett Was Alive Today podcast did come alive, and it is out there on the Apple, Spotify, and all of the podcasts platforms that are out there, you can go and look up If Emmett Was Alive Today podcast. And so look it up. And we do have some new shows coming. So be on the lookout for that. So, but that's it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm pulling up my phone right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm searching if
Emmett Was Alive
today.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh, man. Did I spell Emmett wrong? I can't find it.
It should be Emmett.
See, I can't spell. Y'all
That's okay. None of us can.
Y'all work.
I can't even spell the sometimes, THE. I'm like,
I'm gonna have to finish looking for that later on, because my phone is not acting. I think the Wi-Fi in my office is not acting right.
No worries. But if you go to my website, you can I have a link to the the DaphineBJack.com. If you go to that website, you can click on the link to the podcast, and it'll take you right to all the shows that I've already produced already.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of extra minutes because you said you have a book, but at least tell us what the name of the book is, and tell us what the book is about. I don't want to. Yes. And tell us what the name of the book is and a little bit about the book.
Yes, the book I wrote. Oh my God, being a person who don't really want people to know my business. And so as we were going through the criminal justice system with my loved one, I was thinking, like, how can I help? Already thinking about help. I'm in a bad situation. Now I'm already thinking about how I can help someone to go through the criminal justice system. And so, and working at parole at the same time. So as going through, I would take notes and keep everything going. And after everything was over, I started putting the pieces together. I said, this is going to help someone. And so I wrote a book, and it went live on April the 19th, and it's titled The Other Side of the Story. And so I talk about how I dealt with the criminal justice system with my husband, who was wrongfully accused. And I talked about how I dealt with it as I called it then, as a law enforcement officer, because I didn't want to do the conflict of interest, saying parole. And so, but as a law enforcement officer, and I just share how I dealt with it myself and how hard it was going to court and everything. And then the whole gist of the whole matter is, if you did not commit your crime, don't take a plea bargain. And that's one of my P's, is if you didn't do it, do what you got to do to come out of it. Because sometime it be, as we already know with the wrongful convictions, you can get convicted and sent to prison. But it's about that fight. You keep fighting. No matter what the outcome is, you keep fighting. And so my book can be found on my website. It is on Amazon. And again, it's The Other Side of the Story. And I'm very proud of the book. It has helped people. And of course, I had my critics. And so I wrote the book a certain way. And so some of the critics was like, well, why didn't you tell? And you didn't do? No, because if somebody else read it, they'll be like, well, this is only for people that, have had that issue. So I kept it generic. And so if anybody can read it, and it just talks about how God brought my family and I out of the situation, and we're here. If it wasn't for the situation, we probably wouldn't even be talking, Mr. Bowtie.
Well, I hate to say that there's some good and bad, but there is some good and bad. And I found the podcast.
Oh, you found it? Okay.
I can't show it because
that's all right. That's it.
Yep, I found the podcast. I definitely will be following, and I definitely will be listening
Yeah.
to it, because that I mean, um, the way they see us impacted me very hard
Ooh,
too. So
that
I
one,
can understand.
I've
Yeah,
been trying to pull myself together to watch
yeah.
it again, but it's another one that you need to check out too. Is Southwest at Salem. That's a documentary, and you can find it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And that's the young lady who I'm working with now. It's called Southwest at Salem, Salem, and that's that one there kind of puts some tears in your eyes. You think when they see us, but you're looking at the other side of something that happened to these four women, and it's an amazing story. I recommend to watch that.
All
Recommend to
right.
watch that.
Well, I do thank you very much for your passion, your expertise, and definitely accepting the invite to be a
Thank you.
guest here on
Yeah,
Let's Talk Family.
yeah. Thanks for inviting me. I was just really honored, when you reached out to me. I was like, oh my God, little old me. Here I am again, being humble.
I
And
love it.
so, yep, I'm very honored to have been here.
All right. Thank you very much for being a guest. All right. So let me give you a couple of updates on what we're doing here as we get ready to close out. I got dinner waiting, and me and my son gonna cook some nachos, some loaded nachos. Y'all don't need to know that, but I told you anyway. So the next show that we're going to do, Let's Talk Family, is going to be titled Parents with Developmental Delayed Children. And I would tell you that the gentleman I have coming in is a friend of mine, and he actually, between him and our pastor at the time, changed my mentality on parents that have children with developmental delay. I can't even say it because it's a new term. But we'll talk more about that on June 5th at 7 o'clock right here. So definitely come back. My good friend KT Folks is going to come and give us some insights, some thoughts, and some life things that he's had to deal with in this situation. Then after that, uh-oh, my clicker is clicking too fast. On July 10th, we're going to talk about money. Now, I'm going to tell you, everybody wants more money. Nobody wants to take care of the money. Now, one of the things that we're dealing with right now currently is a lot of people getting more money than what they're used to when they work. So how are you using that money? So we're going to have a financial healer come on, and she's going to talk about financial health. Financial health. So we're going to welcome Dr. Wendy Labat to come in and talk to us about financial health. Then the following week is going to be the third annual father-daughter banquet. Still haven't figured out how I'm going to go live there. As we get closer, I'll definitely know. But that particular episode will be during the event, and we'll figure it out. We got time to figure it out. But the third annual father-daughter banquet, June 19th, between the hours of 6 and 8. Right here in the fine city of Crestview at one of our restaurants called the Wild Olive. That'll be June 19th. Then after that, we will on July the 24th, we will have Tanya Hood. Now, I think I told y'all previously that I'm doing two shows dedicated to divorce. Two shows dedicated to divorce, and they're going to be back to back. Tanya Hood is going to come in and talk to us about healing after divorce. Healing after divorce. You know, there people are getting divorced. More and more marriages are ending, which hurts my heart. But let's talk about it so that we can help heal through it. So Tanya Hood is going to come and talk about healing through divorce on July the 24th. My book, Life Lessons 30-Day Devotional, my goal is to have it out within the next 2 weeks. So just keep your eyes open for it. It'll be out very soon. I just got to finish the final edits and it will be out. So I'll definitely keep your eyes open for that. Thank you for my sponsor, Joey the Jeweler. If you would like to be a sponsor, definitely contact me and I will talk to you and we will plug you in as we are branching and building up families as we are strengthening families. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So again, thank you for another episode of Let's Talk Family, where we come together, sit at the table, and we provide information to strengthen families. Every 2 weeks, we're right here broadcasting live. Feel free to comment, like, and share. Thank you for your time. Warm as the bow tie feast. I always like to end with my 3 points of interest. 1, the center of everything is family. 2, be the best you that you can be. And 3 is called life. Live it. Have a great day.